not forsake me, oh my crypto, on this our pumping day. Do not forsake me, oh my crypto, hardo, hardo, all along. I do not know what fate awaits me. I only know I must be brave, for I must face a market that hates me, or sell a coward, a craven coward, or sell a coward and get wrecked. Oh, to be torn between bull and rug pull when I'm wed to you in blockchain vows. Must I now face this wicked sailor whose scams can crash us down? Do not forsake me, oh my crypto, on this our pumping day. Do not forsake me, oh my crypto, stake away. He made a vow while in his Lambo that he would grab up all the gains. Now you must face him in his telegram and carry on, 'cause that's your game. Do not forsake me, oh my crypto, though you're depressing now. They tell me you are depreciating. You made that vow when I invested. What should I do if you were in my wallet? What should I do? I'd be a coward too. Oh, look at that big chart move along, near an all-time low. Why should I fight it? Can't help it. Though a coward may be in your eyes, all that I ask is keep on mooning till he is done and sees the rise. Do not forsake me, oh my crypto, on this our pumping day. Do not forsake me, oh my crypto. Pump, pump and dump, pump and dump, pump and dump, pump and dump, pump and dump.
All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome. Happy Friday. This is the Digital Cash Rundown, and I'm waiting for the person of the hour, Crimsonclad, to come. To be fair, she was very forthcoming that it was going to be, a couple minutes. She had to walk the doggies, etc. So, yeah, just hope you guys enjoyed that intro graphic. While I have your attention, before I start to move on to things with, the subject of the day, I have been very lazy about looking for a new podcast sponsor. So if you like the show and you have a company you want to do that with and to fill in for Coin ATM Radar, I promise I won't make a jingle that probably made them quit last time, then absolutely send them my way. As always, doing a million and a half things. But yeah, always happy to keep the podcast growing, keep it, funded, everything else. Yeah. It's my one kind of thing that keeps me grounded throughout the week. And so, with all my just work call after work call after work call after, just sitting down, doing everything. It's the one thing that's like, oh, I get a fun little party at the same time every week, and it's always a good time. Get to hang out with my best friends. So that's always fun. But anyway, I'm going to sort of start with a couple of interesting things while we're sort of waiting. So I'm going to do the she's going to kill me for this, but whatever. So the thing we're talking about the most today is, of course, Hive, and how the Hive blockchain is 6 years old today / 10 years of blockchain history, because it was forked, the surviving fork of Steam. So we're going to be going into that a little bit more seriously, but the funny thing I wanted to bring up here in this banner here is connect to what matters with true Web3, owned by you. For those who don't remember, the in-joke, I think it was not last year, the year before, one of those two, at Web3 Amsterdam, which I was also there at, and the Hive team was sponsored. They screwed up the banner for the booth, and instead of owned by you, it said ovened by you, like cooked in the oven. And it was very funny, and it's something I never cease to give Crimsonclad trouble for. So now you're in on the in-joke. I'm going to do more embarrassing in-jokes as we kind of lead up to this whole thing. But anyway, and I also want to sort of apologize for the backdrop. I haven't properly gotten all my shelves and things up. Let me actually tell you a fun story about that, right? Unfortunately, I have been looking for the best possible backdrop for, this whole thing here. And when I was like, all right, I'm going to just do it this way. It ended up being that I found a piece of art that was really hard to find before, that I thought was kind of extinct, ended up sort of being available again. Let me actually show it to you. Again, no guarantees I'm going to put this on the wall, but I kind of want to. So it was an old crypto art piece for when it was called Darkcoin. And I've been looking for this all over the world. Well, I haven't been looking that hard, but I couldn't find it, and I really wanted to get one of these and have that on the wall. And so this is something I'm going to be pursuing because it's kind of a cool graphic and everything. Everything seems kind of neat. The only issue now, though, is not only is it hard to find, but Crypto Art, which is a fantastic site. I mean, again, I've had some of their art on my wall before. They have a weird NFT token gating thing going on right now, right? So that basically means that in order to buy this piece of art here, you need to go buy some OpenSea NFT thing and then I guess ship it or something. It sounds kind of fun and cool that they're trying to link it to a real piece of art, but real piece of to link a digital, allegedly uncensorable collectible to a real piece of art, but it's such a pain in the butt to actually try to buy it. I did try it the other day. I have owned NFTs before. I've bought and I've created NFTs and sold them myself before. And so it's not like I don't know how to do this, but I don't know how the setup is. It's just such a pain in the ass that, yeah, it's just, anyway. So I will try to get it and actually get it on the wall at some point. That'll be a fun time when I do, and then we'll have the background. I don't know if I have them. No, I don't have them on me, but I have these glow sticks I was also using that I will get plugged in as well. And I used to take them to conferences with me as background lighting. The problem is every single time airport security thought it was a thing that goes boom. And so they'd always flag my bag and go over and look at it and just be very, just annoyed, and it just would make me almost late for a flight. And so I just decided, you know what, no more of that. I can't take it with me, but I need to get that set up here. And so, this whole podcast setup is going to get nice and overhauled. We keep It's going to be a lot funner. My shelf that I used to have in the background is over there. And one thing I do want to do on the shelf is set up some extra devices that I have. I have some old devices that I want to run OpenClaw type stuff on and just like test it out. Because I have to admit, I am pretty sure that OpenClaw and all that stuff is very much overhyped. A lot of people are saying, "Oh my gosh, you just have agents working for you." It seems like, from what people say, they're much more limited than the hype and difficult to configure. But I do know enough people who are getting massive productivity gains with them. And especially if I travel a lot, it'd be nice to be able to sort of talk to it remotely, get it to do stuff. So that might be the OpenClaw shelf or whatever on that side eventually. But yeah, it's going to be a good time. So let me just throw something else up here and see. So who is going to the Bitcoin conference, by the way? Let me throw that up on the screen right here really quick. It's a little over a month from now. It's in Vegas, and I have a ticket from last year that is going to make it, easier to go to, I guess. It's probably super expensive to go to. But anyway, I'm going to be there. If you're in town, man, look at that. $500. This is crazy. I'm sure, ask around if you do go, because there are going to be free tickets that people have, I'm sure. And so, look at these gross people. Anyway, I'm not predominantly going for, the Bitcoining, as it were. I'm predominantly going for the networking, as it were, right? Because, it's a good time to go and meet up with all the people who are in town. I already have an in-person podcast lined up for when I'm there, so that'll be fun. Audio check, Crimmy. How's it going? Can we hear you?
We'll see. How's that? I brought the apologetic Canadian mug for my lateness.
Listen, sorry. Well, that's fine. It's okay because it was what? How shall I say? Anticipated tardiness. As it were.
It was. All right.
And yeah, as the French Canadians say, you're on retard. So
on retard. It is true. It is true. I use that a lot. And you know what? French Canadians don't have as much sway as they think they do. And when you use it across Canada, have you been to Quebec? Right? Yeah. Well, so there you go.
Listen, as you know very well, even though I live within a 4-hour drive of the Canadian border, I've only ever been against my will when I was in Toronto for consensus. And so I will go to Montreal. It's way closer. I could drive there, but not yet. Today's not the day.
Okay, so I have thoughts on this, but doesn't matter. As a West Coaster, the East Coast would not be a place that I would go voluntarily if I didn't have reason. I prefer to stay over here. So when you do come for your real visit, come to the West Coast, come to BC, and we'll show you what it's really all about. But yeah, go to Montreal if you want people to be mean to you, and then have you deign, to be so lucky to have them be mean to you. It's the French way. Parisian French and Quebec French don't agree on much other than Anglos suck and that we should be mean to them. They are united in that front. It's very un-Canadian, actually.
It is funny because, first of all, I have a generally positive opinion of the French just because when I lived in France, it was in Lyon and not in Paris. So it was just decent folk, right?
Yes.
I mean, they're still French. They're still a little it's like a house cat. Sure, it'll be nice, but it has a little bit of an attitude still. So it was just like a very, house catty kind of person. And, but then
spot on.
I did not appreciate my trip to Paris years later. It just, I don't know. It wasn't as over the top as the legends say, but there wasn't anything pleasant to it. And, I don't know. I would like to think I would like the French Canadians, but we'll see.
Well, I say this, and I actually fly there usually 2 to 4 times a year, probably almost 4 times a year. My best friend lives there, and I have a lot of friends there. I know a lot of people in crypto there, and it is fabulous to visit. So we'll call it a wash. Wherever you can find friends in the crypto world, that is a place you want to go and you want to hang out. And you can use your digital cash there. So,
You can.
you can anywhere.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, anything that's ovened by you, which I don't know if you saw, but I did break that down.
I didn't,
to-
but
to
of
stall
course,
for
perfect.
time.
You know what? That makes sense. And you know what? That's my punishment. Is one of these most hilariously terrible anecdotes. So yeah, that was a real eye opener for who you can trust with your brand materials. And I think everybody knows that you can't just randomly trust someone. But hey, always, 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 always go over the final proofs. And if you don't get them, ask for them and go over them a second time. However, it's a long running joke and we get to bring it up all the time. We have a lot of fun with it. So, maybe the oven is the real value that we earned along the way.
The oven along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is something that I have to say, like, in the last, then we'll just roll the intro and actually get into the Hive goodness. But it is something that's very funny that separates competent people from incompetent people. And there's very few competent people in the world. And in my opinion, it's not maybe, I don't want to pat myself on the back and say, oh, I'm competent, but I'm not incompetent. Let me just at least say that. And one of those basic criteria is you just look at stuff before you do it. So like, I can't imagine the kind of person that just, whatever your piece of work is, whether you make them a sandwich at a cafe, whether you file a legal brief, whether you push code to production, whatever it is, I kind of feel like the standard thing is, all right, I'm going to submit this. Let's look at it.
It is, yeah. This could be literally where we start today. I mean, this could be a whole show in itself. I generally think that because you're some of the people you hang out with, you definitely raise my IQ a few points just by being in your vicinity. But also, that's crypto, that's blockchain. Between the people who understand economics, between the people who understand insane levels of deep code and encryption and all of the things that go into making blockchain truly functional, and then also the people with the vision on how it's going to change the world, I feel pretty close to functionally retarded in almost every room that I walk into now. And at first that sucked. And now it's awesome. It's fantastic. But it means that I'm often in rooms that make me feel that way. And when I enter a room where I'm that person, I don't know what to do with that. And that seems to be a lot more of the normal world, which is uncomfortable. That's uncomfortable. I shouldn't be at the top of the pecking order in a normie room. Not good.
As you're fond of saying, you can just do things. And I think that the just do things, it just goes to like, you try a thing, it doesn't work. You try something else until you get to where it works. But just like the very look at things, like it's not that hard to say, hi, like, okay, I'm going to make this sandwich for someone. And then first of all, write down what you're making or have a written copy of what you're making. And then when you're like, all right, I'm ready to be done. I'm on autopilot. I made the whole thing. And then you're like, all right, so they wanted a BLT with no bacon. That's weird. Okay. Do I have bacon in here? Oh, I put bacon. Let me take that out real quick. Like, check it. Check your work. And so the whole like oven by you, back to that, like I would just be like, look at it and just be like, hang on a sec.
Yeah.
Does that say, nah, we got to change that.
Unfortunately, we got to look at it in production, which is prevalent in the crypto industry. But listen, roll the start, because there's actually some things here that are really relevant to all the stuff that we're building on Hive and that you guys are building on Dash. So I feel like we accidentally self-aggrandized ourselves into the perfect opening for the show.
Perfect. Ready? 3, 2, 1, intro.
There, yeah.
Hey everyone, welcome. Are you falling off your chair?
Okay, I'll tell you in a second.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Welcome to the Digital Cash Rundown, episode 221. I'm joined by the one and only Crimsonclad, which is actually true. There's no one else with similar handles on most things, very surprisingly. How's it going?
It is really good. So I'm feeling blessed and highly favored. I'm very excited that it's Hive's anniversary today. And if I do look slightly unstable, it is A, correct. B, it's because I actually have, it's a stool, but it's also like a balancing thing. So when I do sit at my standing desk, I sit on this like equivalent of one of those like rock'em sock'em boppo clown things. So yeah,
Good
it's
band name,
supposed
by the
to
way.
make me stronger and be better for my back. Frankly, it usually just feeds my ADHD and lets me bob around during interviews, which is probably going to drive all your watchers completely mad. So listen, we're just gonna roll with it.
That's fine. You get a little head movement.
I haven't fallen off it yet.
Yes.
That's that bopping clown technology.
Yeah. Well, I have, I don't want to, this can't be like the geriatric cash podcast or whatever, but like I have a nice lumbar support IKEA chair that costs way too much, but was worth every bit of it. Oh, it's so nice. And the amount of pain I don't have because of this is great. So all that,
This can go along hand in hand with all of the lessons that you take away about, digital sovereignty and money and everything is protect your back. It's not just about being geriatric. Protect your back. You wreck your back once and the rest of your quality of life goes way downhill. So just act geriatric where you need to and be less geriatric forever.
Yeah. I mean, fun fact, my early 20s sister-in-law had back pain not too long ago, just kind of nagging, wouldn't go away, and finally decided to get it looked at, and it was like, oh, guess what, you broke your back.
Oh, that's
like,
awful. I'm not laughing because it's funny. It's just
like, all right, well, and hopefully it's getting better now, but like the point is it's like could be a broken back, and it can affect the children too. So yeah, don't take that too. The Utes. All right, so Hive, right? So the Hive blockchain is 10 to 6 years old today, depending on the definitions. But let's start with 6. So first of all, little party blower, whatever. Happy birthday, Hivians.
Thank you. I've got all sorts of Hive accoutrement here. I was thinking I've got shirts, I've got gear, I've got all sorts of swag, but I don't actually have like a Hive party hat. So it's went into my mental notes for the type of stuff we need to create and give out. Is ridiculous headgear.
Yes. I wonder, have you noticed a pattern with things that the Hive logo looks good on? Obviously a t-shirt is good, but then what else? Like maybe a baseball hat, but is there a specific thing that you think looks good?
Well, I've seen many, many classy examples of hats and, whatever. But one of the fun things is that obviously Hive is full of, humans and, agents now too. But people love to make Hive stuff and then share it on the Hive blockchain to other Hive people, whichever front end. So imagine if like everybody on Twitter, well, I'm still going to call it Twitter. Everybody on Twitter, X, was making things with the X logo, sharing them on X. That happens every day across Hive media. So I see people that do like, they make custom plant pots and they make, deedly boppers on headbands and they make paintings that they take out to physical locations and do photo shoots in like the wilderness. It is the coolest thing. Realistically, I actually want what I want personally is I always wear the little choker. I would like a little like connected chain of Hive logos, very small, that would represent the actual unbroken blockchain that would fit my aesthetic. So there you go. That's my.
You also need to have like a bracelet or something like that as well.
I've got tons. They're everywhere.
That
Everybody
have
loves those
interconnected
freaking
things.
Oh no. But so that's my challenge to the 3D printers of the world is make me some form of cool STL file that will like turn into some sort of interlinked set of logos or whatever. That'd be sick.
Or you can just get like a little keychain type logo thing and hook it on, so like it's like a little dog collar or something.
I have one over here. I could literally walk out a frame, go get it, and try and do that for the podcast today. But of course, let's actively make it a little. Yes, exactly. Make it a little more like a dog during the initial opening. But
yeah,
it is possible, and there are Hive logos lying all over my house, just randomly waiting to be used. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, so I'm gonna throw up the post on X real quick, just to, full decade of blockchain history, and now 6 full years of building the future. Happy birthday to Hive, and this big long thing about all this stuff. So
Yeah.
and also this little cake ish thing, which I made my own cake for the thumbnail on this. But yeah, it's pretty cool. So, what in your mind sticks out the most about this particular milestone? Like, where are we? Where did we come from? Where did we go?
Well, and that's okay, Cotton Eye Joe. Doing too much. We're showing our age. That post that went out on the main Twitter today, I think is kind of important because we're at sort of a crossroads in the crypto space, and I'm sure you felt it too. Is that there is it's not even FUD anymore. There's just sort of this miasma of discontent. And that's not a bad thing, but it's because the people who have been here the longest have seen the most change. And the ones that have survived are, in a way, pretty disappointed with where we're at. And then, of course, the ones that didn't survive have completely bounced. So it means that when we hit a milestone like this, 6 years of being Hive officially is huge. That is more than 99.9% of coins, excuse me, to ever exist. Longer than, even 1 year is longer than 90% of coins. But for Hive, this is huge because it comes with a bunch of firsts and it comes with a bunch of precedent that's been set. So one of the things we kind of want to do is start talking about why these things maybe don't look as hype and as flashy as what has driven previous cycles, but they're actually what drives longevity. They're what drives making technology better, regardless of whether or not people are throwing handfuls of, filthy VC dollars at you or whatever it is that's propping up all the absolute bullshit in the crypto space. So this 6 years, it marks the fact that we had the largest 51% attack in the entire world that has ever been seen before or since. We survived that. We built the most resilient community possible to fight against that, and then decided to turn around and walk away because what we valued more was open source tech. We valued true decentralization, and we valued the fact that building an ecosystem without a giant pre-mined, corporately owned code base held up by, yes, or corporately ovened code base. That was,
speaking of which, Hive is way better branding than Steam, and Steam looked like heat, like ovened. It was very ovened, so that made me think about that.
It was, and there was a lot. There was a lot about that branding that was so confusing, and Hive. Well, we'll get into it. There's some ups and downsides that we could talk about, but the big thing is essentially that we came through this event that should have absolutely nuked all possibilities of future growth, and it should have turned that ecosystem, that legacy of 10 years, starting from 2016, 10 years of on-chain history. That legacy should have been owned by Justin Sun, created by a team who kept a ridiculous founder's stake, used it against their own, their own community, and the outcome would have been very different. A completely captured chain, and no real community involvement in building something that's meant to be resilient, that's meant to be functional, that's meant to be real money, and also real tools for the connective tissue of the internet. So in a lot of ways, we were ahead of our time. But we also just took the biggest swing that had been seen up to that point, and in a lot of cases has been seen since. Now, the thing is that doing it, we did it on hard mode. And it means that right now, even 6 years in, we don't get the recognition we should. And there's nobody's fault for that except ours. It's our turn to start going out and saying, hey, listen, everything sucks right now. You're seeing other chains explode. You're seeing everybody in the world hate on crypto. And yet, the coins that have been here for so long, the ecosystems that have been here for so long, our birthday is here. We need to shout even louder. We need to show people that there are fun things, there are functional things, there are free places, and there are sets of tools that exist for people to make things better. That was the original idea. We can keep that. We can appeal to normies, and we can appeal to whoever else, the high-level thinkers, anybody just by saying, hey, listen, we really want to make people's lives better. Come join us. And it's fun. It doesn't matter that everything's on fire. We're still here. We're not impacted by that because, we don't have somebody in the background with a big purse who's just waiting to dump on our heads and they're the only reason we live or die. That's just not our reality. And unfortunately, every day, if you're out watching, we're seeing chains wind down. We're seeing foundations shutter. We're seeing projects give up with no notice. And that sucks. It's not about being happy that others are failing, but it's about saying, hey, listen, the way that we built things and the way that we started Hive is being proven to have been the right way because we all still care and we're all still making things better.
Yeah, I think it's a halfway proven things were the right way. So
yes,
Satoshi,
it'll never be done.
Yeah, and I know it's cringe to just reference Satoshi all the time, but in this day and age, I think we do need to go back to the roots as far as like what's proved this. That's not the radical idea that actual decentralization is the founding idea of the space. It's not that, well, we might do it this way or we might be USDC, right? It's not like, it's like, no, this is the real way. Centralization is a departure. So definitely like made a resilient ecosystem. And I kind of feel like the rest of the space, there's so much complacency in the space. And I would say it's both ways. It's the rest of the space is just like, oh, we're going to make neo corporations and without a shred of fundamentals, and there's just going to be money for it and we'll be fine. And they realizing that, first of all, if they want to be censored, they can be, and it happens. And then they're also realizing just the money goes away and they have nothing to show for it. And very complacent, that space. And a lot of people are saying like meme coin season and all this sort of broke people a little bit. And yeah, sure. But like all the going broke, all the retail not here, all the disillusionment you feel in the space, that's all that. Now, the righteous projects have their own scolding to do. And I've kind of, been actively scolding, my own favorites as part of my work over the last few years. The righteous projects, first of all, have just survived on fumes where everything else, they, oh no, we have less than $1 billion in our treasury. We're just going to declare bankruptcy. It's like, what the hell? Like they go broke so quick. Yeah. But I kind of feel like a lot of the OG projects have sort of sat around like lengthening their arms so they could reach around and pat themselves on the back for just how decentralized and not corporate and everything else they are, while delivering like potato apps and experiences and just nothing anyone wants to use. And so it's very much like
not just that. You're right, because there is a lot of sort of, I use the term a lot, fart sniffiness, and that patting on the back is such a visible thing when you look at some of these announcements that projects are making. The reality is why do you hold these ideologies? It's great that you have them. What are you doing with them? Like it's a really important thing that, when we were talking in the intro about what, what are we building and why are we here? And did you just look at it? Like that's where we've come to. Did you just look at what you put out? It's great that you had the idea, but did you look at it? Really?
It's great that you had some marketing copy, but that's kind of the dichotomy in the space, right? In order to be worth it, we have to do things right and play to win.
Yeah.
And that's it. The problem is the do things right people don't want to play to win, and the play to win people don't want to do things right, and they both crash because of their respective things. And I think that once you combine those effectively, you can get somewhere. And I kind of found that there's like 3 broad categories of projects. There's like the corporate slop that like gets all the attention, gets all the memes, gets all the money, and then crashes or whatever. There's that one. And then there's the decentralized righteous path cypherpunk tech that still is very mom's basement in terms of whatever. And the community spends their entire mental and economic budget just marketing the vibes of it. And looking at you, Monero, with this, for example, like the best vibes marketers in the world are just like, oh my God, this, Guy Fawkes mask and the logo, and just like, oh, the IRS can't tax this. They can, but like just all this kind of like just constant stuff which props up the money. And then when you use a wallet, it's just like, oh, I sent you money. Okay, well, I can't send for 20 minutes. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it just like crap like that, the tech is there. And then you have like the other part of the tech, which is, the decentralized and works part that can't sell for shit, that can't get it out into the hands of people. If they do, they're like, oh my gosh, this is great. But you haven't pushed it out to make people care. And I would consider maybe Hive is somewhere in
100%.
that third camp, maybe. What do you think?
Oh, 100%. And, this is something like you and I have talked for many years about this stuff. And often I've done a lot of behind the scenes stuff. And slowly am I morphing into a position that is more like yours in terms of forward facing. But I've thought this for a long time, and it's shaped a lot of the decisions that I've made. But because, of course, this is not my full-time focus, or hadn't been, it was difficult to kind of contribute to that meaningfully. But reality is it's not a messaging problem, but it is a distribution problem. And I think for a lot of people, that's the kind of choice that they're facing in the blockchain industry or Web3 or crypto industry right now is rather than recognizing that if they fix distribution, what they've got is good enough. They do the opposite where they say, okay, well, we're not getting distribution because what we have isn't good enough. And that's why I think you're seeing a lot of these projects that are like, we flip to AI, we flip to local models, we flip to there is no conviction of what the tech is for. And I think the problem with that becomes, hey, listen, ecosystems can't work together. You can't build a tool set with tools that can't decide what they are. If you go to hammer and a nail and all of a sudden your hammer is now, like a drain snake, this is not going to work for you.
Imagine
right?
whipping someone with a drain snake.
Cruel.
Yeah.
I mean, well, hey, the beatings will continue until morale
Speaking
improves.
of which, our friend Decentralized Creative talking about the Hive choker and all that, he said Hive whips and chains. Yeah.
You know what? Some things are best left for on-chain communities, but we could have a discussion about that too.
Yeah,
but,
we need an L2 for that one.
Oh,
Private L2.
That's right. So coming back to kind of where you started, which was, hey, like, where does Hive fall? 100%. The tech is so elegant and so beautiful, and everybody wants to hype what they use. And I use a lot of different things, but Hive is my daily driver in a lot of ways, and it captures my imagination, it captures my attention, and it embodies a lot of the stuff that I want to create and the things I want to use. But there's no magic cure for make everybody else think exactly like me and immediately copy what I do. That's the distribution problem that we're facing. What I will say is that the truly decentralized sort of people who are really like, we're focused on the message, we're focused on the ideology, it's the most important thing, you have to stay first principles, about true cypherpunk start of the movement. My heart says yes, but my brain says no. That's very, very unattractive to everyone that isn't right there in the mud with you. And it also is really it's really dismissive of people who need crypto and don't know they need it. And it's also part of the problem that we're facing as a wider group and looking at the outside world is we have 90% scams. We have 6% these people who say this tech is amazing and it's not for you, you're not pure enough. And then we have 4% projects that are absolutely amazing but can't compete with the other 96%. And we fall into that 4%. But what I can say is Hive faces a lot of the similar problems you see in the Dash community, although Dash has really got some great momentum going. But also, like many chains that are alternative L1s that have survived multiple cycles. And that is, when you are truly decentralized, you do not usually have a leader and that corporate ownership that often the structure is formed because it works. Whether you like it or not, we fall into certain patterns of organization because they work. You need some form of leader, you need some form of North Star, you need some form of sort of narrower goal that you all follow. And Hive is this wonderful place that goal that we all follow and that North Star that we have is we want fast, instant, no fee money that connects back to an open social database. And the reason the social part matters is because that's where people use money. Where people gather is where marketplaces form. So what we want is a place where we can be free, we can hang out with who we want to, and where we can use our money without banks, governments, and fees ruining it. That's the one-liner. And we have that. But how that is executed, what apps matter most, what functions matter most, with an open source code base where people are focusing their time, that is way, way wider a focus. And what that means is our ability to go straight to market and say, hey, this is what we're doing, is harder. And that's been the big thing, that distribution thing, is it's not for lack of dedicated, passionate people. It's not for lack of builders. It's not for lack of great tech. And the fact that, we don't use market makers, we don't pay for any type of what is expected in these ecosystems. So people go, oh, your volume might be a little lower than some of the other competitors. Yeah, because it's not fake. Actually, because we don't use liquidity injections, on big sites that start with a B and are run by a CZ, and there's a constant pressure from those groups to do that. And because we haven't caved, but because we also do all approach this problem differently, it becomes a little more difficult to be effective. And I think that's changing. And I'm really excited for this 6th year because I think we're now at a point where projects are incredibly robust, and the builders who have seen the worst are still incredibly motivated and have seen the worst and have still hung on and been building and iterating through it. So all of a sudden, we're kind of coming into a period where crypto is poised to do well globally. There will be a shift. We're kind of getting all of the worst of it out. We've been taking our lumps, and we will be ready to have all these really cool products, services, websites, and people who've seen it all. They're unshakable, they're unflappable, they're ready to go. I think that's kind of where we're at the 6/10 year mark is you can't kill us. You can't kill us. We just don't care. We just don't care. And there's something so powerful in that. There's something so freeing in that. So for me, this is the year where I've decided, okay, well, all I'm going to do is this. It's a huge swing. It's quite dangerous. But there's lots of people who are in that position. And my belief, even in the bad times, still hasn't been shaken that what we're building is useful. And alongside other types of tools, alongside other blockchains, and alongside where people are slowly realizing they want to be, that's where Hive will go to. So I don't worry about how we're going to get there, but I do think approaching that distribution problem and being in that third group is now shaping, well, what are we going to do about it?
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, obviously there's a lot to unpack there, but also I was typing because I wanted to see if I could generate some AI slop to throw up on the screen to illustrate a lot of this stuff, as one tends to do. Sometimes, with graphics, it works amazingly well, and sometimes it just, like, what are you thinking? Like, there will be a time at which when every bot out there can run circles around us, but that day is not this day. I wish it could.
I'm still not mad about it because people go, oh, well, why do you say that Hive's for humans by humans? And I'm like, because it is. The reality is agents can run themselves, they can consume content, but all of that is meaningless because only what comes back to us matters. Like if agents are agenting, if all of your cyber lobsters are out there in a void interacting with each other, that doesn't really impact your life in a meaningful way.
Yeah.
So for us to have these essentially like cybernetic helpers, they'll read all the social content, but you know what they're going to do? They're going to tailor it to the profile that you ask them to. Like, we're moving to the point where your agent or your LLM will be the filter for how much agent and LLM noise there will be. I'm not actually as terrified of it as I used to be, knowing that if we still have these base tools that allow people to connect, whether that's follows, likes, friendships, content, money, history, public, anonymous, personal identity, these types of things, those are the building blocks that will let us do whatever we want, even in a world that is starting to get scarier and yuckier from an LLM perspective. But, just for the record, 5 fingers on each hand. So, we're not there yet.
Well, so absolutely. And I just sent you the thing I'm going to throw up on the screen. Burn the ships. right?
100%.
And this is one of those things where I still have some draft in my articles about that I'm going to write something about burn the ships. But there's a really good brewery that I actually host a crypto meetup at called Abel Ebenezer, and the owner is a veteran and a freedom lover who created merch that said taxation is theft and fun stuff like that on it. And he has a fantastic literally the only IPA in the world I enjoy drinking called the smoked IPA called Burn the Ships, and it's kind of evocative of this in when Cortez colonized Mexico. He burned the ships behind them so they couldn't go
There's
home.
no going back. Yeah.
Yeah,
100%.
and it is kind of, there is, like they say, necessity is the mother of invention, and that's one of those things about competence also is I think everyone in the world could be competent in the right circumstances. You can get things done, but that's only when you need it to survive. And I think you notice some of the more frustratingly incompetent people manage to pull things out when their back is against the wall. And obviously, I think what makes competent people competent is the fact that they take that attention to detail or just like caring to find a good solution when they don't have to. But even the most competent of us don't have our backs against the wall. And that's the superpower, right? It's a scary superpower. It has a lot of risk and cost. But once that's the only way out, you figure it out, right? You make it work. And so burning these Hive ships, I think that a few people in the more people in the ecosystem decide, you know what, I'm going to take a risk because I want to make this work. And I'm just going to dedicate a few years to this and see if I can make it work. I think that that's what drives it forward. You know, that's what really drives it to Solutionville, right? Not to, Complainville.
Yeah. So first of all, noted about that IPA because they're gross and it's like chewing on a tree. And interestingly enough, the distinction between IPA chewing on a tree and gin chewing on a tree is IPA bad, gin delicious.
Absolutely.
Why? Don't know. Don't at me. It's just my personal preference. But so noted, I would like that. When I roll through, we're going to go do that. We're going to burn some ships because smoky things are right up there with mezcal. Mm-hmm. Our discussions will always come back to being alcohol snobs, and I'm okay with that. But secondly is, for many years I have dedicated myself to Hive, but it has been often background work, drudge work, admin work. I don't think that's a bad thing, but I do think there are so many people, especially our DApp builders, and they're so well known, or our evangelists. And I mean, like Starkers and They Call Me Dan are two big ones because they're constantly building and they're constantly showing their faces and showing their voices with the things that they're building on top of Hive. The Splinterlands team is another great example. But it's another reason why having our in-person events are really important too, because you do get to recognize the people who are quietly helping, and they don't always look like prolific DApp builders. They aren't always the insane, shadowy, super cold coders that make an appearance once a year on the stage to talk about what they've been working on. But there are people in the communities, and we say this a lot, right? Like the blockchain and Web3 ecosystems are so proud of, we have communities, but the community, bro, meme coins are just communities, communities. Yeah, it's not because you have a bunch of people who show up in a TG and click on a raid bot every now and again in the hopes of, scraping some pennies off the floor. This is not community. And until you start realizing that the reason that blockchains go are, yes, some people will burn the ships, and that might look really public, big bonfires in the night. That's what that's what I'm going for. I'm going to do it. But there are smaller private sacrifices, little tiny altar fires that matter just as much. And they're the people who do keep conversations going. They're the people who have these lovingly curated feeds of insanely great content from around the world. They're the people who make really niche products. And actually one that I'm really loving and have for the last couple of years, but the jets have been turned on, is one of our more prolific, I don't know what I would call him, community members, because he does everything. Developers, hangs out, is Hive Today and the pizza server. And I'm going to throw this out to you, is he made one of my favorite things called Hive is Beautiful. And it was just a really ambient bubble map of just what transactions were in every block. But he grew it, and he's got two more that I think are really cool. Do they make the Hive blockchain go? No. But one is called Hive Orchestra and one is called Hive Fireworks. And both of them are literally just ongoing visualizers of the transactions on the blockchain happening in real time. One plays musical notes, that's the Hive Orchestra, and one fills your screen with fireworks. That's literally what it is. Every type of transaction is a different color, and in real time, as your instant blocks are streaming, you get to see fireworks. It's my screensaver. These are the things that come from real passion. They're these little things that maybe don't feel like they're that important in the scheme of it, but they start helping you connect feelings and helping you connect actual things that are happening to the people that build them, but also the people that are, enjoying them. And that'll be the difference. So wherever you're lighting your tiny little fire, if your fire is not an entire ship, maybe you're just flicking your lighter in the background. That's okay. But I think you're right. Yes, exactly. Just everybody on Hive lighters.
Yes.
Let me put that in
Put that down.
in the to-do merch
Yes.
list.
Also, I will send the next thing that popped up on this, that will pop up on the screen, which is one of my favorite memes. It just says, when you bought into a project for a quick flick, but ended up a community member with
I
good
feel
old
so
Hide the Pain
attacked.
Herald.
There are no words for how attacked I feel by this meme.
Yes. I mean, it's unfortunately super true. And
Well, here I'm gonna. In the meantime, while we're talking, I gotta grab one of those sites for you. I gotta grab the fireworks site for you
No
because the
problem.
orchestra one is great, but of course there are so many transactions that once it gets going, like we literally couldn't talk over it. So
yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, I'll filibuster in the meantime because
well, you can still ask questions too. But I mean, I
Yeah.
like that idea, and I know that's something that you did too, right? Is you literally just went for it. You invented a position, you asked for some funds, and you said, "Hey, listen, I really like Dash, and I really think I can make a bit of a difference. So let's fucking go. Let's LFG, kids." How
Yeah.
many like hard swears do you get in your podcasts? Does it matter? Like,
I
am I on a counter? Should I have
Well,
an F-bomb counter?
let me be like super transparent about that. I try to monetize all the podcasts with Google or whatever.
Oh, don't do that. Cool.
I've set up Google to do some sort of payout to my crypto stuff, but I've never gotten a payout from it. It's never worked. And so I'm just like, I'll deal with that later. So technically should be but I don't care is my point. I don't.
Yeah.
And because I was mostly getting from a sponsor, and then the sponsor got wrecked, and
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, we can't do this anymore." I'm like, "Oh." So I'm looking for a new
Aw.
sponsor, but I will get a new sponsor. Well, this had no sponsor before the sponsor showed up and was like, "Can we throw you some money?" So it's not like it's like, "Oh my gosh, like I'm struggling here," but
No,
I'll
but
figure
it's
something
nice.
out.
It's a nice thing. I get it. Yeah, totally. And that's something too. Like a lot of our outward facing comms, we always think about the places that we're most comfortable, and we don't always go beyond that. So finding things like sponsors often leads our what do we want to call them? Is it KOLs now because nobody wants to be an influencer? Is that the term?
Yes, however, every time I mention the term KOL, everyone who's not familiar with it, which is almost everyone, by the way, almost retches. Like it's more toxic than influencer. Just call yourself an
It
influencer.
is. I agree. In fact, it's not even an influencer. I mean, in this day and age, influencers don't matter anymore. It's a weird shift that we're living through. It is really where we're at. But I mean, sponsorships also won't really matter anymore either, because these are not the things that are grabbing attention. It used to matter if you said, "Hey, I'm sponsored by some big company." People would be like, "Oh, you got a sponsorship. You must have a voice worth listening to." that is no longer the case. So it's almost like we are participating in a system that creates alternative funding avenues for people to engage directly with the content and humans that they're most interested in.
For a flippin' reason, right?
Yeah.
And,
it all was destined to come down to where we're at now.
Yeah, so I'm showing this fireworks. So the fireworks are actions on the blockchain, right? Yeah, there was a
So that's
dash.
real time.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's like real activity. And so it's definitely not like Corpo Solana slop or whatever. No offense, Solana. But yeah, no one's really paying to make this happen. So that's very cool. And one thing I should point out about, like, we're talking about community and shared values and things like that, and all this, whatever. Like, if you think about Corpo slop, when was the last time you had someone creating like custom made little logos for, say, like the Staples print shop or something? Like, oh my gosh, I'm a Staples print shop fan and I'm just doing all this. Or like FedEx, or like who's doing like Amazon custom things, even though Amazon is a massive part of most people's lives. It's not just a single company. They're just, the fanboyism isn't there. And like Starbucks, like sometimes you get a little bit of like lifestyle creeping in there. I'm sure Timmy H got a little bit of that, but more because it was a Canadian symbol. And
no, even as a Canadian, and even teleporting myself back to the glory days of Tim Hortons, I don't know that there would be anybody that I wouldn't judge pretty hard for wearing some form of Timmy's was smart because all of their stuff at that time was just the maple leaf. And that was fine. Somehow you kind of just associated Tim's with that. But you're right. You've hit on something where, you know, we saw this might be elder internet, is the old like terrifying deep sea crab with the laser eyes being like, "Be gone, brand." That's how everybody feels today. We're sick of it. And this process is going to accelerate. And that's because, you know, every brand now thinks they're geniuses and is churning out absolute disgusting AI corpo slop. And it doesn't resonate with people. And I don't even think, hey, listen, I don't even think the Hive brand is going to move in that direction. There are a lot of passionate people who will resonate with it. But I think the difference is going to come down to, hey, I don't really know that Hive is the thing that drives the smaller brand or the smaller company or the smaller group that I really love. And I think we're just going to see over time these big groups, these big identity groups, and these people who really love a brand in a parasocial way, in a sexual way, will move into smaller and smaller niches, and that's fine. In fact, it's more effective. It's ridiculous to kind of assume that everybody is going to fall in love with overarching ideology of Hive or Hive as a brand, but they maybe played Splinterlands, or they used Ecency, or they love skateboarding and they got on Skate Hive. And one of those three things makes them so interested, and they found a bunch of friends and have no idea. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way things go. And the thing about the community, right? So, like, the amount of branding and fanboyness and all that of, let's, again, pick on Monero again, out there it's a corporate wet dream as far as like how many corporations would want to have that. And the way they pulled it, even though it is a money producing blockchain that has, you know, that people who own it get richer if you buy it and stuff. There is some of that because it's like a very stick it to the man type thing and all that stuff. It's kind of like, oh, that's okay to do. But the positive side of that is that community has drilled down very hard, repeatedly, on the why does blockchain matter, which is, you know, no one can stop you. You get to do whatever you want. You don't get to be exploited. You can just transact freely, own your stuff, run your own nodes, all that stuff, and no one can take it from you. It's freedom money. That kind of thing that a lot of other projects, of course, have all talked about, but just haven't had a religious mantra on. And so I kind of feel like that's a great driver of the community. Unfortunately, it makes people a little bit forgiving about like UX niggles and stuff like that. But it is kind of why these communities matter. And a lot of the, you know, like no one can kill Monero kind of thing. A lot of that stuff applies to the, I would say, you know, definitely Hive, definitely Dash, definitely Bitcoin Cash at this point. And I have to think about a few more just off the top of my head. But all of these have been, like, if there is an attempt to fork and the fork attempt fails, that's kind of one thing. But if a fork attempt, if there's a community fork that gets rid of the previous people and still is the dominant one, that's a sign of resilience you cannot manufacture. No amount of coding can manufacture that. And so that's the thing that's really special about Hive, of course, is its entire life is being the surviving fork of like the founders or previous owners, or there's a lot of nuance there, but like kicking the leadership to the curb and just still like surviving and thriving on. And then Bitcoin Cash, of course, is a fork of Bitcoin. It wasn't trying to take over, maybe it was, who knows, but then survived the BSV fork, but also the eCash fork, because Amari, the guy who started it, got kicked out, and now it's like a group of people that are just like surviving despite that. And then same thing with Dash, not in a fork way, but the founder hasn't been super involved since 2017. The next leadership figure got forcibly removed via DAO vote in 2022, and now it's just the third generation of just like kind of me and kind of the lead developer guy. He does more than me, but I'm just the public loudmouth.
It helps.
Just like it's this renaissance now, and you can't say that, oh, the legacy people run it. Now, this is, by the way, this is where things get to like maybe a little bit more complicated, though, is I think that a lot of us are just basking in the decentralization and just huffing our own gas and whatever about like, oh, look at us, we've survived, we were decentralized, we proved it, yeah, man. And
It's
then
not enough.
what? And
It's
then
not enough.
what? Are you going to fight with the heavyweights? Are you going to elbow Solana to the side and get in there and be like relevant today? And how are you going to do that? And how are you going to do that with such little money? I mean, you got a budget. We got budgets, but not a budget.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
how's it going to work?
it's a good question. And I mean, you exactly kind of touched on it. And I think there's something romantic in the idea of an idea can't be killed. And people say that all the time. And absolutely, with the lack of resonance with a person, the idea fades into obscurity. So maybe it can't be outright murdered, but certainly ideas can disappear into the night. But there's a romantic aspect to that, which is people really, it really resonates with people when they recognize that something they're so passionate about, they can just do things. They can run with it. And it doesn't necessarily need to compete. But there is a freedom in that this is completely open to you. And there are many ideas in the world that are not. There are ideas that are given to you, that are enforced upon you. There are ideas that are, beaten into you from birth, and you spend your whole life trying to unlearn. So voluntary participation in a community, an ecosystem, a tech, a group that allows you to just say, yeah, this is mine and I believe in it and I can do things with it. It's why crypto in general has not gone away. And, we use Hive as the example. It is a good example because on the opposite side of the aisle from the people who created Hive were the literal most rich and famous people in the ecosystem, directly, not just opposing us, but leaning on their relationships across traditional and non-traditional finance, literally bringing the world's resources to bear. And this is a group of people who said, no, thank you. That's all good, but no, thank you. That's incredible. No shots fired, no war undertaken, and yet an entire revolution. This is the ideology behind why these feelings matter and how you compete. This is the ideology. The reason that 51% attack was perpetuated on the legacy blockchain was because another group tried to come in with the idea of, we will buy this community and we will make it ours. We will buy this technology and everyone that likes it will suddenly become ours. And that is not true at all, not even a little bit. And that's where the competition lies. So do you go out and do you take on Facebook or Twitter or Meta and X or whatever? The answer is no. But I don't think we need to anymore. And so it's not that we're good enough to go out there and be on their level with resources, but sentiments are changing. The way that products go to market are changing. And I think that's going to become really, really important. And the thing that's on our side with this is that people in the real world, the normies, are starting to understand a concept that they would have never been exposed to prior to this, except the world is completely insane. And that is that the payment layer should not have power over any platform rules. And that sounds like jargon, but the reality is where the money is being spent by rich and powerful people dictates what you get to do with the stuff in your life. People are mad about it. We are getting schmad. Normies are mad that Rothschilds make all the banking bad. People are mad that nation states are sending their children to die in useless wars. People are mad that Zuckerberg decided one day he didn't like a certain type of crypto ad, and now you don't get to see, anything about any crypto. Apply it to anything that you currently interact with in tech or your life or finance. It's the truth. So this is what's on our side, whether it's Hive, whether it's Dash, whether it's any up and coming blockchain project. What's on our side is that normal people are starting to understand that there is a need for us to break away from that payment layer controlling, call it the platform or protocol layer. We're divorcing those two. We're done with that shit. So what does that messaging look like? And how do you apply it in a way that's not stupid esoteric jargon, but yeah, hey, listen, that's a problem you have. I have a neat solution. Here you go.
Yeah.
That's it. That's where we're at.
It's also an interesting thing about, like, what do you think about what is crypto? Because what we're all in the process of doing is is discovery of a new untapped, it's like electricity. No one decided we need a thing that does this, and then they find it. They figured out this power, and then are like, what can we build it on? What can we build with it? And I feel like Satoshi's vision, not you, Craig, was a relatively, I would say, narrow, but a clearly defined thing. As far as it was, we're making a new money and a new payment system. And this is this decentralized network. This is how it's going to work. And this will have major ramifications, but it's one thing. And then down the line, people started saying, well, are we going to do other blockchains? He's like, oh, maybe. I don't know. This Namecoin stuff sounds interesting. Are we going to do tokens? Maybe. I don't know. And then Satoshi pieced before a lot of that stuff came to fruition. But I think what we figured out is that now part of the reason why there's the idea du jour in crypto is because it's just so extensible. You can do anything with it. And the core thing of we have a decentralized architecture. And this is something I've been beefing with. I'm always beefing with someone.
Listen, it's fun beef. It's beef that encourages people to think.
Yes, these are friends I beef with, I guess, or people. I don't know if they. Think,
I was going to say I enjoy your beef. I was going to say I enjoy your beef, and I stopped, and now I'm saying it, but in in a knowing way. I was going to say I enjoy your beef.
My many beefs.
All of the beef.
As it turns out, over the self-hosting thing, because people love to self-host things, and I understand. These are me. I do self-host things. The challenge is the thing that makes crypto magical is you don't have to expect some random nerd in his basement to be the one guy running the infra for everyone.
Yes.
You don't have to just hope that some nerd is going to just keep it running. And at the same time, you don't have to have a company control it. It can be owned by you. It can be actually controlled by you. But the underlying infra is like a pseudo company that can't be taken down. So whenever people try to go back to self-hosting, I kind of feel like they're uninventing electricity at this point, where they're like, no, but you can just turn your own crank and do it. I'm like, well, that's good in an emergency, but the fact that there's an electrical grid that you can just go boop, and stuff runs on it, that is magic, and we want to build on this magic.
Yeah, it's true. Self-hosting, because I also I run a bunch of nodes and infrastructure and little bits and bots and bobs. I even my very first Raspberry Pi I actually bought to run Umbrel on. So there you go.
I gotta get which is funny because first of all, my first Raspberry Pi sounds like a fun little children's book. and I'm sure
Or
it
like
exists.
a really grimy like Pornhub category.
Man, you're going all. I was not going there at all.
Sorry.
I did not
Sorry.
expect that to be there at all. But it could be that as well. Just that's a fantastic mug. You need a Hive version of that has the Hive logo in the O. Maybe.
Yeah.
But as far as that is also the closest I ever came to buying a Raspberry Pi was for Umbrel specifically. I used
Yeah.
that laptop instead. But and then I regretted it, but I did not regret the learning experience, you know?
Right?
It's
And looking back,
which
it was
by the way
terrible
should be a t-shirt.
also.
I
was
regret
awful.
it, but I did not regret the learning experience.
I regret the outcome. Yeah, pretty
Yes.
much. Well, yeah. And so now, like that's one of those exciting things that's coming down the pipe for Hive is it's never been particularly difficult to run. You've never needed particularly robust software unless you are wanting to be like whole hog competing for consensus or whatever. And so I've always loved that on its own level. But now it's kind of like, okay, well, you should be able to do it, not because you need to, not because the network needs you to. It's running, it's great. Anybody can join in. But for some people, this is fun and exciting. You feel like you're doing something. It's not just you can do something. There is a joy in it. And so one of the things that's actively already working, but will be coming to everybody soon, is the ability to run a Hive node essentially ultra light on an old crappy phone. We've already got like phones running full, not cloud mining, not shared compute, nothing, like a full node on, an old cell phone that you have in a drawer or whatever. And last year at Hive Fest, we actually had some of our core devs, they literally had a Raspberry Pi in this super cool, like cut billet aluminum hexagon, beautiful with a screen. They were running a node, a blockchain node, a full fat node with history info, a custom display screen, and they had it with them while they were on stage. It was a self-contained battery-powered node actively running the network while they were giving a talk on stage. It's the coolest. So for everybody that wants to do that stuff, it's there. But as you say,
I
you
have to
don't
say
have
that
to.
is cool. 80% of me is that's cool. 20% of me is how can I involve the memes? And one of those things is, first of all, it just reminds me of like the 80s style, like boombox on the shoulder. You just walking around. And
A
like
big one, like with a clock, but with a
Yeah.
Hive node in it.
it's like a Flava Flav thing right there. And I think that
Hivey Hive!
that would be such a fun
Gotta
gimmick
take
to
some
either
notes.
have that on stage or even
We're doing
better,
it.
have some like dude in with like sunglasses on follow you around on stage just with this on his shoulder, and you just give a normal serious talk, and there's this
The
dude.
hype man.
You
Yeah!
you reference the the guy who just like every once in a while you say something and he just leans into the microphone and goes, "That's right."
Absolutely. But so, like I'm saying, does anybody on Earth need this? Well, technically, no. But yes, if you are, you need to trust your own infrastructure or you want to participate and you live in a place where electricity or hardware, both of these things are so relevant now. Electricity and hardware are both going to be like the most miserable thing to get over the next 3 years. But
Get
I
used to it.
digress. Oh, God.
Dude,
So
run
these
your
things
own
matter.
nuke. I gotta be like have a little mini reactor.
Fix the
anyway.
money, end the wars, or at least don't have governments stealing our money to fund wars.
How about I can
Christ
settle for
almighty.
don't have governments, but anyway, that's a different story.
You know what's less likely to happen than personal nukes?
What? That?
That. Anyways, coming back to this. So there's a great example of like, that's a really cool thing happening this year. It's designed for everyone, but most people will not use it. And that's great. And that's fine. Anybody that wants to participate in this network will find a way, whether that is literally just playing an awesome shoot 'em up game, with crypto shots. I just want to frag a buddy. I don't even care. I'm going to do that. I'm participating in the network right down to, me, I'm super excited. Like I've already kind of ordered some small Raspberry Pi parts because I literally want like right here on the wall, I want a custom, I'm going to design a visual interface for it. And I'm going to have like, the old block clocks. Wait, remember how they blew everybody's mind? Like that. I want that.
I think so.
Yeah. They were
Yeah.
like it looked like one of those clocks that had the but instead of the time, it would basically be like Bitcoin block height and current price that would just
Oh yeah, I remember that.
right.
Yeah,
that
and so
kind of thing.
like I think that running infra, like the red herring part of it, is that if it needs that to run, and this is, again, I'm going to
Yes,
say
absolutely.
there's a reason why I publish to the Hive blockchain just about every single day, and I do not to Noster. And there's two reasons. One is Noster is shit, but the other one
Drives
is
me nuts.
that it's this like self-hosted bullshit where you either run your own relay and store your data, do all this stuff, or you just trust some other relays that they'll store your stuff, and maybe they'll censor, maybe they won't. Maybe the guy will get bored, maybe he'll get hit by a bus, maybe he'll be in Tel Aviv and get airstruck, and then that part of the infra is down, and
And that's it.
but that's not happening with Hive, because Hive has delegated validators, 21 of them, right? Is it
Yeah.
21? Yeah,
Yep,
21
in
of them.
consensus. Well, okay, no, we'd have to go a little technical. Like technically,
Okay.
there's a top 20 and a backup rotated into consensus every block production round.
Yeah.
So, like, yes, but that one of them is anybody from anywhere in the list.
Yes. Well, there you go. But like, there's people around the world who's like making this happen, and it's just not going to. You're not going to have all 20 taken out, and if you do have all 20 taken out,
Then
others
it
will
shifts
rotate
down,
in.
and you have a new 20. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a resilient, guaranteed system, but it's also not a company like Amazon AWS. That's the point of this shit. Is my point. That's the beautiful foundation, is that, and it's actually resilient, and you can. It might work well, it might not work well. That's engineering. That's how to figure out to make it the best. But once we start with that foundation, anything else can go on top of that. You can put any kind of content on it. You can do any kind of stuff. And I kind of feel like a lot of people have been excited about this base technology and then just want to throw it in people's face. Yeah, look how cool this is. And then they're like, that's cool. And you know what that reminds me of is I have a friend who's on like one of those serial business bros, but dyed in the wool. And I think entrepreneurship is exciting and stimulating, but contextual. Like some entrepreneurship. I'm not. This guy literally he said his favorite conferences to go to were packaging conferences. He'd go to like some package con, and they'd just be like, "This is the new bubble wrap thing that we got here," and this is because it was all about like there's so much money to be made in the packaging industry as far as shipping things and sending, and like he just got off on all that stuff, and I just can't care. But the point is, we're trying to get people to go to like HiveFest. Might as well be. I'm being mean there because HiveFest is actually very fun. But the point is, it's one of the funner. It's probably one of the top funnest crypto conferences. Let me just be very clear about that.
Yeah.
It's still to the normie.
Why would you go to
Package
HiveFest
con.
as a regular person? Yeah, 100%.
Look at this
InfraCon.
Like, what the hell? Who goes to? Hey, sir,
what I will
may I
say-
interest you in some infrastructure? It's like,
What I
how
will
much
say is
infrastructure do you want to buy today? Like,
We got
hell?
so much infrastructure. The best. Actually, I can't do it. It's you're the Trump impersonator of the two of us. Oh,
Yeah.
it's okay. Fair enough.
the best
so what I-
infrastructure. No one has infrastructure like this. They try, but probably they could get close. Maybe a little close, but not quite where we're at. Yeah. But people are going to get so
the
pissed
Monero
off.
guys. I call them Monero manlets. Yep. Yep.
Call them the manlets. They're saying all these things. I don't know what they're saying. Anyway.
So what I will say, some alpha on that is, we've always known that, and HiveFest certainly, for all of the years that we've been running it, is my award here? It's not. Okay, hang on. Ugh. It is very much. This is my Five Fest award. This is for going to 5 in person and then another X amount, online. But the reason that matters is that comes back to your dyed-in-the-wool evangelists, the people who get it or have a lot of fun, or the relationships that are built. We get a lot of people. We've had a couple marriages. We get a lot of people who meet playing a game, or because they commented on each other's blogs, or they've worked together on a project for so long and have never met. They get to meet in person. So the idea is, okay, well, we know we build this fun, awesome, super cool event. And now, the flip side is not, why would a normie come to HiveFest? Because there's nothing there for them. The flip side is, okay, how do we make HiveFest something that inspires more people to check out why crypto matters. And it's not because a shitty Winklevoss told you to, or because Sailor is trapping you in a Ponzi. It's because there's actually a reason that this tech exists, and it's for fun. So one of the things that started last year and that is going to be growing again this year is that alongside of Hive Fest, there is a conference called Chain Culture. And chain culture is for everybody. It's cross chain.
Speaking
It's
of the
not
whips
just
and the chains, decentralized creative.
that's
You might want to
right.
go to that one.
But so what's going to happen is it's actually going to run alongside Hive Fest. And so chain culture will be for all chains, all people, all interest levels, all engagements. And then Hive Fest will be kind of the like deeper dive on the tech and the community celebration parties. They'll go together. And this is one of those things that is kind of moving in the direction of, okay, so Hive Fest is just for us, but also like how do we use it as a way of drawing people in? Because many people enter our ecosystem because they accidentally got adopted by the rolling horde of Hive Fest that came through their town, or one of their friends went and they just got dragged along and they realized, holy shit. And that's how we absorb them into the ecosystem. That is a very ineffective way of onboarding, but it usually builds like our most resilient users. So we're starting to think of this differently, as like, how do we build one really great conference that matches up with a lot of different needs, invites a lot of different people, is really open and inclusive. And then also for people who are engaged by that, bring them into the culture and the fun. So it's kind of like a funnel versus the opposite way of
With
things
the
is
fun
like
in the
trying to
funnel.
get people a fun funnel versus trying to say, hey, come to Hive Fest, like, and they're going, I don't know what Hive is. And also, this is really, really technical. Why would I come and listen to
And a
one
little
full day of
culty.
talks just to come to like a really cool closing dinner? And that's fair. So there's been some adaptation in that, and I'm really excited. The news is not out yet, but it will be soon. Talking about where that will be. But it's the reality is it does just work, and we take that for granted because everybody has a different interest level. Your interest level versus your entrepreneur friend's interest level doesn't matter. You're both still engaged with the idea of entrepreneurship, and that's the same thing. Is whether you run your own infrastructure or not, you are engaged with what a blockchain can provide, and that is the same for me making some performative block streaming visualizer and also running some extra infrastructure so people have resilience.
Blockstream.
And somebody not Blockstream the company, Blockstreaming the process for anyone, because that is, if you're ever interested in checking out Hive, that's one of our absolute strengths. Is any of the information that's happening on the Hive blockchain, you can stream blocks super easily. You don't have to run infrastructure at all. You can watch that real-time content of everything happening, including for your own. You can gate out certain types of transactions or watch the fire hose and then do things with it. You don't have to run infrastructure, but if you want to spin up a dApp or even just collect data, feed an agent, whatever, you can do that really, really easily. That's one of our greatest benefits. And that stream is instantaneous and already final by the time you see it. Sub-second finality means that you're not waiting X amount of time for a block. Heaven forbid it's, 20 minutes like Bitcoin, or even 30 to 40 seconds is too much for things like social interactions or gaming.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sorry, I got distracted because the cat felt neglected and she keeps on coming in to say hi. But
That's fine.
the thing is,
I was going to say something rude.
when we're talking, yeah, of course. But when we're talking about like infrared stuff, like where we're stuck at for the most part in the crypto world, right, is step like zero, kind of. So we have, first of all, you build cool technology that could theoretically work as infrastructure for all kinds of cool things. It's decentralized, all this stuff, right? And then the next thing you do is you have to sell it to people. And I do feel like crypto's gotten mushy on the sales pitch, but it is still a strong sales pitch of decentralized tech. That's the hardcore sales pitch, and you get people to believe in it. And I kind of feel like some of the more modern chains sort of piggyback off of the original vision, but don't really articulate it. They don't really know all the way. But the point is, historically, it's been you sell someone on the vision, and then they're like, cool, now what? And then they're just like, fucking buy the token, I guess. And that's like the
Yes.
next step. And that's the only step. And where we need to get to is where you can onboard people. There's two things. You have to sell builders on the tech.
It's the big one.
So when you say, we got all this infra, and then this is why it matters, this is why you're going to deal with pain in the ass things instead of just AWS, is because this lets you XYZ. And then they're like, all right, I'm sold. Then they build something. And then the other side of things, there's customer use app. Not what is it built on.
Yes.
Now, what it does is a byproduct of what it's built on. Like, it allows you to own your own data and stuff like that. But that's not, they don't need to go all the way down to the root of things. And so, like, for example, social things. So, I don't know, throw up an ecency, for example. Like, I don't, people are like, oh, I get a fun little blog, experience. This is fun. And why does it matter? Well, I think to the customer, you do have to explain, oh, this is something because it cannot be taken down, and if something
But those
happens,
intrinsic benefits of the base layer become value props for the app build on top. You can
Yes.
use all of them, you can use some of them, but whatever it is that the app is trying to do, I want to sell people on digital sovereignty and blogging. That's one. But another one might just be, hey, you can earn 5 cents per post. That could
Yes.
be another one. And both of those are true, and they're both using the same kind of underlying scaffolding. You've heard me use the metaphor before, and I will continue to use it because it is it's both funny and visceral, and that is simply that we do not sell the plumbing, or at least not to the end user. An end user comes to a house and expects that the plumbing works. They go into the bathroom and they know, I have to poop. And when I poop, my poop will go away. Everybody poops. But I do not care about the pipes. However, if the toilet will sing to me and blow warm air on my butt, ooh, selling point, neat toilet. The plumbing doesn't matter, but the toilet between you and the plumbing does. There's sort of where your apps or your businesses or
Yeah.
your services, they shit in them, shit on them, shit in them. It sounds terrible, but it's visceral, and people get it when you explain it like that. Is, hey, listen, how fancy do you want your toilet? What features do you want your toilet to have? The rest of it, it's always going to work. It's always happening. Don't even worry about it. You don't care about the plumbing, but let's go toilet shopping.
yeah,
Ridiculous. Apt.
of course. Part of like the plumbing will always work for you is kind of like the big thing. Like, especially like when seconds count or whatever pitch for what you need out of your plumbing is like. This toilet is built on plumbing that, ensure a plumb that will just always work. And
If a bulldozer hits your house and knocks over your fancy toilet, your shit will still go away. If somebody
Yeah.
digs up the pipes under your house and tells you, ha ha, you're gonna, you'll never be able to poop again, you will literally move 2 inches to the side and there'll be a new set of pipes.
yeah, I mean that's the
That's
fantastic
blockchain.
pitch.
Full of shit. That's blockchain.
And I kind of feel like the malaise of crypto comes from selling just everything as an investment, as opposed to
100%.
the stuff like a scaffolding to build on, as opposed to the actual products that people do build to use for the end users. But also, they've been scamming the investors. It's even worse. It's like the one
you tell them
thing.
it's the most important and then absolutely wreck them.
Yeah, or just explain like the why behind it, and then they're like, "All right, sold." Break down the APYs, break down the whatever, and then you just go like, it's gonna go up. Trust me, bro. and
Trust me,
that's
bro.
it. And like, for example, if I think that probably the easiest sales pitch for an investor in crypto today would probably be Hyperliquid. You just say like, look. It's kind of decentralized. Who knows? Because it's partially closed source, whatever. But like the point is, it runs and it prints money, and this is why people are betting on the price on leverage stuff. They're spot trading. In fact, I think it's the number one Monero exchange today is Hyperliquid through this Wagyu XYZ like bridge, and it's like, okay, you go to an investor, you're like, why should you invest in the Hype token? Okay. because you get a revenue share of this profitable business. And here's the numbers, and this is what it looks like. Also, here's our growth plans. Also, this is the new products and chains we're onboarding and stuff like that. And like, okay, let me look at that. Let me compare that with other things. I like the vision, but also, and I believe in the vision long term, but the numbers make sense. That's not a scammed investor, which is pathetic that I'm
Unheard
saying
of.
this about Hyperliquid, which is one of the least righteous projects in the space, but at least it's honest from that point of view.
Yes.
And then you have other ones like, I don't know, I'm not going to name anyone who I could pick on. I would annoy them by saying that. So I want to be nice to my friends. But the point is, XYZ chain that's like, well, look, we're righteous. We're decentralized. We do everything the right way. This is valuable. And then buy the token, please. Okay. How is it expected to go up? Well, you know, people buy it and it goes up. Yeah, but like, why?
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's mined, so buying the token doesn't get any revenue. You'd have to buy mining machines for that. Oh, okay. So why is this going to go? Oh, because people are going to need it. What are business plans in place that will cause people to need to buy the token for this business and therefore take it off the market, constricting the supply? Yeah, no answers. It just like
there's a very
nonsense.
big missing chunk for a lot of these projects, and part of that is our own fault, because you know, one of the most exciting things that happened early on in crypto was like the theories were sound and people were engaged and wanted to join in, and so the number did go up. And so rather than looking at why the number went up, we just said the number will go up. It's going up forever, Laura. And that became the sales pitch. And it's like, okay, well, now we've shaped expectations incredibly poorly. And we've already learned this lesson from Meat Sack World. People always say, oh, crypto's so much worse than, you know, fiat, and the reason it's scammy and da-da-da-da. It's like, no. We've lived this cycle a million times in traditional finance, in the stock market, in, you know, ICOs. Well, what are IPOs? It's been done. It's all been done. But here we did the wrong thing, and we celebrated the aspect that made sense from a business standpoint, but we made that the main message. We made that the main selling point. His number go up, the Moon Boys and the number go up physics really broke people's brains. And so we taught them, rather than saying, hey, you do have intrinsic needs, you do have problems that are worth solving, and for you, you know, buying a little bit of the token, spending a couple bucks, and then having those problems solved easily and getting to use all of these other products, that would be more than enough. But the problem is we told them that wasn't enough. We told them, you need to be chasing the next 100x. You need to be chasing the next hourly runner. You need to be making generational wealth in a month, or you're not going to make it. Have fun staying poor. We literally conditioned people to look at us as a scammy monetary vehicle. And now we're like, oh, they don't like the way we pitch our ideologies. Yeah, no fucking shit. And we have to eat that. We have to eat the dog food on that. That's our fault. And part of that is appealing to, well, okay, it's not you and me. It's not you and me. But
it's not even the projects that we tend to focus on either. And that's one of the reasons why the top 20 or 30 or 50 on CoinMarketCap is not us, right?
Yeah.
Because we've
gamed the metrics now,
this isn't
too,
the pat
right?
on the back either, because there has been a lot of weirdness in even our communities. But for the most part, all the fluff came up, scammed everyone, got punished for it, and is kind of going away. And the projects that haven't crashed in the bear market are, I don't know, I haven't watched what Hive has done, so apologies if it's a little bit if it's not realistic, but a lot of good ones have just done pretty well these last few months, and maybe not pumped. Some of them have pumped to the moon, but for the most part, no, they've just not done terrible. And I think that we have that baseline of we can build something real on this. But the thing is, I would give a lot of leeway to all of us, a lot of patience in the space, for just not knowing what to do with a brand new thing. Like, it's easy to think about what can you do with, like, think about pre-electricity. What do you need it for? It's like, well, we can just light lights. Okay, well, we already do that. I would say, well, like, power a motor car. Well, we don't know what that is yet. So, like, Well, what can you do? You can charge your phone. What's a phone? Like, there's nothing, like, you had to figure out what you could do with electricity. Then the internet came out, and I think that we both were kind of living through the
Oh
birth
yeah.
of the internet.
Yeah.
And so we got to see literally the communications technology, the everything of the world grow up in real time. And there was just a lot of weird stuff in the meantime. Like, obviously, email. Oh, it's like snail mail, but it's an email. Okay,
We
that's,
don't need it. That's so dumb. I mean,
yeah.
how many articles do we kind of point to this sort of the same arc that we're experiencing? Um,
You know, it's
it
one
is.
thing I will say on that, like of
Mm,
the new things that no one anticipated. This is one area where I've tried to stay with the times with a lot of things, but one thing that's never clicked for me fully is always, which is super ironic for us right now in this moment, is streamers. I understand live streaming a show. I don't understand at a fundamental. I get it sort of, but I also mostly don't get just streaming. Streaming like what? Well, just anything. Just stream. He just is on the stream. Okay, well, what is he
yeah.
doing? He's playing a game. Okay, well, is he good at it? No. Then why are you watching him? Is he doing a stand-up routine, or is he really funny? No, he's just streaming. What is stream like?
So okay, I have
That's where I'm boomer as hell right there.
this
But the
has
point
sort
is
of a
with crypto,
convergence. Yeah.
so new that there's a lot of stuff that it's not just the new way of doing the old thing. It's like there's also new things, and we're just now starting to figure out how the new thing works in the actual world.
Yeah, so there's a convergence of what you're saying in both of these cases, and one of them is kind of that we are not just figuring out new ways. The people that think like us, oh, cat. I was gonna say show pussy, which is what I was gonna say earlier, but
Yes,
like
but
seriously, cat's there.
something got. I'm trying to. Oh yeah, something got unplugged, but nothing
Oh,
that's affecting the stream, of course. And the cat did not even go around. It just went right into the cables, unplugged things, and
100%.
left. Like,
Yeah.
of course. What a little terrorist. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
So, so anyways, yeah, we're trying to figure out this new thing, but we have already got the people who think like us. And one of the challenges is that we now have to look for the people like you. You don't get streaming. A streamer doesn't, eventually, you top out on the audience that you have. We have a group of people who understand some or all or many of cryptocurrencies and blockchain and are here. We have them. We need to grow beyond that. The problem is we don't know how other people think, or we don't know what it is that they enjoy. Maybe they really do just want to watch somebody sleep on stream. So what's the equivalent of that for blockchain or crypto? We know
Well,
what
the
we
equivalent
like.
of that is pump fund, where you watch people sleep on stream and buy their token
Oh,
because
atrocious.
they're asleep and they can't dump it. That's literally someone demoed this in real life, and I was
Oh,
just
that's actually a pretty strong meta, which is disgusting.
blown away. It's just like someone was showing their Telegram bot, which does all this stuff.
So fair,
Anyway,
totally fair. But the flip side is I was streaming for a long time, and I streamed two different shows, and I'm going to return to it, but some family health issues, basically, like my spare time became, let's go spend
yeah,
time with
of
them.
course.
But so I was streaming a heavy metal live stream. So I would do a show once a week that was just music and absolute absurdity. It was ridiculous. And then another show talking about blockchain and disruptive tech with a little bit of music as well. And those streams did pretty well. I could probably jump back into them and grow that faster than I could some of the other stuff that I'm working on. But what I found is a lot of people actually really enjoyed the lulls, or the times where I would just turn on the stream a little early or after. There is a parasocial aspect to it. So why do people like a non-funny, non-good streamer? It may be that they're seeing aspects of themselves. I'm not very good
Hmm.
at this game. I recognize myself in
Yeah,
this
of
guy. Or
course.
maybe COVID broke everybody's brains, which I think is definitely part of it, is we've forgotten how to
Hmm.
people in real life. So we want to watch a people on stream because we're like, is that what peopling looks like? That's what normal peopling looks like. Not Instagram peopling, but like whatever. It doesn't mean it resonates with me, but it's definitely my time from doing that type of interaction has made me think a lot about just because I think somebody's not going to like it or it's not going to be engaging doesn't mean it won't. So, how do I create these feedback loops that tell me try out all the things, do all the things, and see what works, see what matters? Because the whole point of building blockchain tech, we used to say way back in the day, was Bitcoin is for enemies. I can use it, which means you can use it, and both of us are protected by it. That was a beautiful thing. But now, blockchain is still for enemies, but blockchain is for boring people. Blockchain is for people who don't know they need it. Blockchain is for people who are Luddites. I mean, it still has benefits for them. It won't look the way that I think it looks. The message that I need to take to them is not that they care about any of the things that I understand. And that's been helpful to me, not just communicating about Hive, but in general, like why this space matters. Like, don't immediately knee jerk think that crypto is bad. How does that change the way that I talk about it? How does that change the way that I engage with you? How does it change the way that I understand you? So yeah, maybe there is some freaking, I don't even know what, zillennial, zoomer, whatever we're calling the babies who have, were born in the womb with a Bluetooth, whatever.
Wow. Yeah.
How does it change the way that I think about how they're going to see this tech? Because there's a weird pushback happening, and we either let that happen and become the equivalent of techno boomers ourselves, or we say, okay, listen, our mandate is to make something that makes the world more functional. The world has them in it. What does that look like?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that there's different challenges for different people along the stack, as it were,
Yeah.
right?
100%.
And I kind of feel like crypto started like no one knew what to do with it. The one thing
Yeah.
that they could do with it is buy the token, get people to do it, and do just basic self-host your whatever.
Yeah.
Proof of concept on stage at consensus apps that no one actually uses after that to get more capital. People figured that out. And then
Yeah.
recently some people figured out, what if I just built a company and ran it on a blockchain and built my own blockchain and just did normal business, but on the blockchain. You get
With
it
my
business,
buzzwords.
but on the blockchain. And that works, but is hollow. And I think where we're starting to get to now is this understanding of when you're working in a decentralized ecosystem, it's still, you have to respect the limitations and the quirks of this being the new thing. But at the fundamental level, business is business. Products are products. And if you create a decentralized blockchain that anyone can use for anything they want, you still have to sell it to people, to builders. And then also, you still have to make sure it works for them. You do have to have customer support. Hey, the blocks are too slow. No, man, that's just the way it is. You can't do that. You have to go back to the devs and just be like, you have to get consensus and do the DAO nonsense if you're lucky enough to be that decentralized, right? You have to do all that in order, of course, in order to effectuate those changes. But those changes need to happen. Some changes need to happen so that people will build on it. And then you're just selling your infra and to all these entities. You do need to do that business. And then once you're able to do that, then the actual people running those end user apps, they operate more like normal businesses, except they do need support on the blockchain. And you can't give them traditional support. You just have to like help them be like, it'd be like that, but like with more words, kind of. Like you need to help them be like, how our customer's transaction disappeared. What happened? And then you have to say, well, edge case, double spend here. You have to give them a solution. And even though it's not, you don't, speak to the manager and then get it done. You have to do it somehow. But at the end of the day, the crypto business works like business. It just looks like a business. Like you get startup capital for your app, or you're just trying to say, hey, everyone, I got a B2B SaaS to sell you. Well, guess what? Crypto is a B2B SaaS. That's literally what it is.
Yeah.
Sorry if anyone got
How dare you
unaroused by that comment right there, and now you just can never, you got the ick about your favorite blockchain permanently. But like, it's you're selling a B2B SaaS at the end of the day, and someone has to build exciting things on top of that. Even worse though, we're building we're selling a B2B SaaS for bees that don't exist. And
Yeah.
so we have to try to convince someone to build the B2B SaaS so we can sell them some shit. And that's just, oh my gosh, that's quite a nightmare. But
It is. It's wild when
it's
you look
fun,
at
too.
it from that perspective. Yeah, it's a challenge, and so that's why you've got different levels of interest and engagement with the process of selling. And people are so uncomfortable with the term sell because in this ecosystem, the overall blockchain world, blockchain space, is that selling means selling a token and then dumping on you. I am selling to you because I need to dump on you. And so that word is gross. And people are like, I don't want to sell, but you sell everything all the time. Every breath you take is selling. And people hate this idea. Your
Yeah.
ideologies,
And
your friendships, your
I want
life,
to like reclaim that. I want to say
or take it back selling.
take it back
Our
selling,
word
right?
now.
Yeah, sell it. Because
Going to sell
here's,
it.
here's the thing. Selling makes the customer lose money. That's just what happens. But the point is, if the customer knows that they're losing money and they're happy to lose money, that's what it is. How many people go to Starbucks, for example, or Timmy H or whatever, and they just like get all incensed? Man, they scanned me for like so much money per month.
See them tomorrow in the
Not
drive-through
really.
for
They're
my
not.
oatmeal maca chaka hoozy poozy 2-scoop whipped cream
Yeah.
flooba gooba latte.
No
Still
one
didn't get
looks
it.
at their $100+ I mean, definitely more in Canuck bucks, but like lots of money monthly coffee bill and just gets angry at the coffee shop for selling them this stuff. No one does. You know why? Because they got something they wanted out of the equation. They bought something, they lost money, they got rid of money and got a thing that made them happy. This is the
And it was
concept
a voluntary transaction.
this is what the
You get to
crypto world
decide. Yeah.
doesn't get
No.
is you need money. You don't have to promise returns. You can promise, pay me, bitch, pay me, but here's the thing that you want. That's the problem, though. It's so hard to to make something that people will want. Then you can be happy to sell that, right?
And that's a tricky thing. And a lot of that is, at the heart of what Hive was designed to do, because our understanding of what matters is money. Of course it is, because right now that's what value looks like. And we understand when we value something, but we still say value is money. Value is fiat. So I'm going to lose fiat because I want X thing. But in your head, you're not saying I'm going to trade this value for the thing that I feel is an appropriate equivalent value. And we have to agree and we both have to consent, and then the transaction happens. Value is a concept that people don't understand. And that's a big one for me. And I think that's something that drives me very much, is helping people reshape value. Value can be a debt instrument. Value can be money. It can be crypto. It can be fiat. But value is whatever somebody will pay for. And the opposite side of the paying part of the transaction is the one that we have to start getting people to think about. And you know what? I will say the current climate that we're in actually is helping us with this. And the climate that we're in is anybody can ship anything now. Anybody can create anything. I don't need to pay a designer. I can create all the crap. I can launch 46 iOS apps with Claude in 2 days. And it turns out people won't just pay for them. People won't just think they're valuable. People won't just engage with your fucking AI slop content. People won't just immediately buy the t-shirt with your AI generated image on it. Crazy. All of a sudden, we have all this stuff. It should be the more stuff, the more purchases, the more losing money. That's not how it's worked. And part of that is, okay, well, that's because people are starting to recognize, what do I think is valuable? What am I willing to lose money, voluntarily lose money on? And it's starting to happen naturally. So now we can step in and say, hey, by the way, you're valuable. And things that you never really appreciated as value, you get it now. Your data, the people you interact with, stuff you do online, how many times your smart fridge opens and what section is what temperature, because now they know what you're buying at the grocery store. All of these things are types of value. So it's a learning that most people are not interested in, but are starting to gain a concept of, and it's shaping behavior. So how do we do that again in a positive, fun way? How do we create value that's worth trading money for? And that is businesses, concepts, you know,
Yeah.
honesty in the selling, honesty in the
Yes.
selling, effective,
Absolutely.
honest selling.
It. I think that it's because there's been so much extractiveness that people get squeamish about selling.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, it's the happiness gain. You
Yeah.
do. You have a limited amount of time on this planet, and you do the things that make you happy. And everything you do that's not, I want to be doing this right now, is because that will buy me some more happiness in some other way. I do a job I hate, so therefore I get to afford a house, which makes me happier than not having it. I put away
Yeah.
money for my future and children and stuff because that makes me happy. Or and I you always arbitraging things over, and what makes a global economy is when everyone is has the same stuff kind of, and then they swap it around till everyone's happier, and it's just like
Yeah.
a constant race, a happiness race of getting people happier and happier and happier all the way up. And I think that there's no shame in that at all. I think that that's what makes us people and not, furry critters, right?
Yeah.
That's what makes us
Absolutely.
people. And so we are creating a bigger value system than just a single company. That's kind of what we as
100%.
blockchain pushers do. Is it's like it's not my small limited little company I'm pushing on people. It's part of this bigger thing, and I don't control entire. You don't have to just trust me to run it to produce things right. It's just kind of a much more neutral social layer of value. And I think that that should be super easy to push people to do,
Yeah.
such as like it's a value of like end-to-end encryption. Oh, privacy, it's so good. You use a private messenger, it's great. Okay, you could sell people on that. Why
Yeah.
don't you sell them that it's built on neutral layers? You're not enriching a giant megacorp. You're that can decide to completely just screw you with all their other stuff. You're contributing to a greater social good, kind of. And I'm not even saying good as in good versus bad, but
Yeah.
a good as in good or service.
Yep.
And built on neutral layers. It's like this runs on oxygen. Can you imagine if you wanted to pitch like something else where, hey, come visit our nice beach, but this one we make our own air that runs this whole thing that everyone breathes. We're on our own air system, and you got to like trust their whole system rather than
No,
just,
turn it off. Are you?
oh yeah,
Oh my God! You know what you're describing?
oh
Totally
god,
Recali. Or sorry, Total Recall.
yeah, yeah, that's
But like, let's hope that Buddy doesn't decide to punch a hole in the dome to wipe us all out because we didn't pay enough for our
yeah.
air this
My
month.
eyes can only get so big.
It's listen, we'll throw you on Mars and we'll see what you value then, friend.
Yes,
But so I agree with you, and I just think that's the shift that we're undergoing, and we can be really negative about it and say nobody's approaching sales this way, or we could be really positive about it and say things are starting to line up in the world with the established power structures that are making this easier. So even though we lament that people maybe have less money or people have less time or people are more depressed or whatever, these things are pushing us into an ability to start looking at value differently, which means we can start solving problems differently. And it is pushing us towards what is a better system. And that is that we don't have oligarchies saying, you are allowed to exchange value, but only underneath us or only in our channels or only in the ways that we want. And it's better for everybody. It is more gooder, more everybody, more happy, more gooder.
much more
Um,
gooder.
and
And
that's Hive, and that's blockchain, and that's the sort of cypherpunk ideology in a nutshell. And it can be attractive to normies, and even normies, like calling them normies is almost derogatory. But I think a normie at this point would be like, "Yeah, I'm a normie. You're the freaking weirdo," and it's true. So
that is true.
it's okay. That's okay. That's fair. Meet people where
Yeah,
they're at,
and
and
like
don't push them beyond what they want.
the last sort of big picture thing on all that about what we're selling, right?
Yeah.
Is it, the world is rapidly changing, and what people did not realize is that Silicon Valley runs the planet, kind of. And we're starting to realize this when now we have this new age of internet censorship where no one figured
Yes.
out how they were going to try to censor the internet. And now they're starting to figure out the ways they're going about it, with age verification especially. And we're, first of all, like all these apps are like, okay, you're going to get censored. You're going to go in prison if you don't put this age verification thing in Discord or whatever. And I'm not giving them credit by saying this, but they don't always have a choice because of the way it's built. Or you have your AWS subscription. It's KYC. Like, you can't run your stuff without this. On a geopolitical level, we're having the Europeans start to freak out because old Teabag over here isn't as fond of them as the previous people have been.
Yeah.
And because of that, we have all the payment networks, like the Visa, MasterCard, all the card companies, American, all the infra, AWS, all American. And then now that's not as fun of a thing anymore for a lot of our Europoors, right? They're not necessarily loving that as much. So now it's like, we need to create our own payment networks. We need to create our own infra, and it's going to suck. Like, let's just be honest. It's not going to work.
100%.
And at some point, it goes to like the simplicity of the Patrick Star meme of, why don't you just take this and put it on a blockchain? Why don't you just run a global neutral network that old Teabag doesn't control, that, the people in Europe don't control, that can't be censored? And then you just build on top of that, because so far, users haven't had de facto sovereignty because they can just log into Facebook and do what they want.
Yes.
That changed a few years ago when it started to get really dicey. But then the service providers like, oh, I'll just pay for AWS or whatever. Now they're starting to have their apps that they want to build. They can't decide how they want to do it anymore. Everything's being closed down and censored. And if you don't put this in, blah, 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 it's starting to become a nightmare.
Yeah.
And here I am over here, never needing to worry about if I can access my money or not. Now, sometimes I use an app that doesn't work, and I just plug it into a different app and it does work. And it's so nice that, like, if a blockchain that I'm using becomes not super popular one day, all my content's still on there and I can just always copy paste it to a new thing. You own your shit.
That's right.
I think that is going to become a universal thing where someone's going to be like, oh, if it has like the blockchain stamp of approval, maybe the little Hive logo on the corner of the app, then people are going to be like, oh yeah, that's good, I want to use it. Or you will start to have like legacy developers, like the X of the future or whatever, saying, or someone has a password manager and they're like, hey, can we use you as a database? Because we don't want something to be self-hosted where no one's going to use that. Or put it on Google Cloud servers. I don't care if it's encrypted and everything. You could go down.
Yeah. And we're already starting to see this. So it's one of the big kind of pushes for the next year is showing people that, like, you can do this now. And in fact, you don't actually even have to write. You can read. Anything that's put into some of these structures that we provide with Hive is open to you because it was put there voluntarily and for a reason. What that means is no one can keep you away from it or out. And that, I think you talk about it a lot too. But one of the most beautiful things that I like is that I can't stop you from using Hive in a way that matters to you. And I think that's a really, it's a really salient resiliency test, but it's also a really salient, like, ideological test, which is, if I am, pushing Hive to everybody, but I meet somebody that I personally just really don't like, do I have enough influence? Do I have, from a ideological, from a hardware, from a software level, do I have a way from stopping you from participating in this growing value network that we've been talking about? Can I stop you? And the answer is no. I literally cannot stop you. That doesn't mean I have to engage with you. That doesn't mean I find you valuable, contribute to your value, move value with you. It doesn't even mean I have to see you or acknowledge you. But if I can't stop you, you can't stop me. And whether that matters on the lowest level, which is the end user, at every step on the way up the chain, the blockchain, whether it's end user, service provider, DApp creator, infrastructure runner, right up to core developer, if that whole chain, that whole ladder of people, nobody can stop everybody else, it means that the things that really matter are the things that get worked on. The people that see the most value in the system continue to use the system, which makes sure that it's never a ghost town. Like we see some of these platforms that have come up that are like, we could do this, and then they launch, and then nothing happens because, again, there's no reason above and beyond to use this stuff. We have all that, but if I can't stop you and you can't stop me, that is the most freedom that exists. And it means that the possibilities are endless. That's the part that's happy. People say it's scary. Well, I can't stop a bad guy. No, you can't. But you build all of the rest of the things that we do to stop bad guys now, which is we build high trust communities, we build signal filters, we have groups of people or certain types of interfaces that gate out different types of information. Whatever it is, you have all this granularity that can align the world exactly the way you want to see it and work with it and keep you super safe. But you also can't stop that other person, which means you will always be protected from them trying to stop you, cut you off from money or humans or value.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you argue against that? You shouldn't. You shouldn't.
Yeah, and a lot of it is people's fear and risk aversion is something that the despots prey upon. Because the despots just want more power. It's just one way. They just only want more power. And what they say is, well, we don't know what's going to happen. What if we don't have the control? We won't be able to stop the bad things. And then people are like, well, maybe we'd let them do that. But it goes the opposite direction too. And this is my, just like the proof of concept, which is all these communities that we love surviving takeover attempts and just being there. That's one proof of concept. The other one is every alternative money system in the world prior to Bitcoin had their founder arrested and thrown in prison, got shut down. That's what happened. And then Satoshi was like, I don't point playing that. He fucking hid and didn't do any of the VC or any of the other stuff. He just acted like a refugee, or he acted like, my God, it's Jason Bourne. Like he hid. And because of that, it just got left out long enough that people got used to it. And then, CZ, speaking of, lovely people, got, Safud back in the day.
That's
and
right.
openly wondered about censoring the Bitcoin blockchain. And enough people freaked out that didn't happen. Ethereum had the DAO and all that stuff. Since then, no one buys that you can stop Bitcoin and Ethereum transactions. I mean, there is a technical path to doing this, and you could maybe do it, but for the most part, people don't try because they're just like, let's just catch them at the other end, the bad guys at the other end. And then we hit privacy and then Tornado Cash and all that. People freaked out, and then unfortunately, they're trying Roman Storm again. Hopefully, he gets off, but the point is privacy protocols are multiplying and no one's going to prison and people are using them.
Yeah.
We kind of figure that out. Then there was the Dexes, and then the Thor Chads bit off more than they could chew. And once North Korea started throwing through stuff, they freaked out. But the transactions kept going through. They stopped it at the interface level, but if someone wanted to raw dog the protocol, it actually just put in the encrypted the custom memos themselves and everything.
Yep.
And now no one blinks when it happens because everyone understands that this is uncensorable infrastructure and you just got to deal with it. And what we have to do at this point is continue that lovely tradition of Uberizing the world where you just do the stuff they don't let you do.
That's
and
right.
you just do it enough until they get used to it and they stop trying to stop you.
Yeah, absolutely. And it sounds like, oh, this is such a case in point for bad guys, but it's really not, because if you look at every step of the way, it's almost like adversarial thinking. Bad guys test a system for a reason, is because, the good guys fall in line, well, a lot of the time, not everybody, but the bulk of the good guys will just fall in line with what's happening because it's safe, and they want to do the right thing. and they want to go along with the social construct that's around them because they live in a high trust society, or because they enjoy the fact that, yeah, we all agree on this and life is happy. So a bad guy comes along and starts fucking things up, and the response is a couple of good guys with balls say no and do something different. What we are experiencing is that the bad guys sometimes are in power. The bad guys are sometimes the one that set those rules that the good guys follow. So here we are is we are constantly iterating the established structure, or the bad guys create a problem. The good guys go, okay, we're going to do whatever it takes to get around that. And then we have peace across the land for a little bit. And then there is a new challenge that is either made by the bad guys or somebody trying to grab more power, and it starts over again. So when people say, oh, well, you're just arguing that bad guys should be able to do things freely. No. It just means that we move to the next level of the problem. This is literally why humanity exists. This is why we crawled out of the ooze. Our whole purpose is to always become better, is to have a reason to keep moving forward and to, be happier. If you really want to break it down to that, more happy. That is actually our reason for existing. We could stop right here. We could ossify humanity the same way that we've ossified Bitcoin. And then what? Is this exact reality that we live in right now the one that you think humanity should exist in forever? What should it have been, the one where we died at the good old age of childbirth? And we're afraid of when clouds went in front of the sun. So if we are dreaming of more good or more happy, we should be pretty stoked that we are building technologies that allow us to keep pushing the boundaries of that. And whether we like it or not, the bad guys or the powerful guys are our adversaries that cause us to just do things, that cause us to think differently, and that make a lot of people get excited about bringing things back to good. More of us want good than bad. So we're going to do it. We're going to do it. And we are. That's what blockchain is. It's so, God, people get so uncomfortable when you get this much in the sauce, but it's for a reason, and it's catching. And I think that's what blockchain needs right now is more positivity, actionable positivity, not terminal positivity, but more positivity, because possibilities are endless. The work is hard, but there's enough of us.
Live free or die, for death is not the greatest of evils. Sounds like a great place to wrap this up. Thanks very much for being on. Happy 6th birthday to Hive, 10th
Yay!
birthday to the chain. Make sure you go use some Hive stuff. Again, I use it every day through the Inleo interface. Shout out to Cal. But I did shuffle some Hive tokens around during the stream as well. I realized I didn't have enough in savings as I thought I did, so I moved it around. So point
Good
is,
stuff.
Live it. And yeah, never forget that taxation is theft, that your phone is spying on you, and fiat is a scam, and therefore you should live on crypto before it's too late. Have a blessed week, use some Hive, and keep decentralizing all things. Bye-bye, everyone.
Adam, we're here because we love you. And we're all tired of watching you get abused.
Abused? By who?
Oh, hi, I'm Visa. I charge you 29% interest, 3% foreign fees, and make you wait 3 days to see if your payment went through.
But I thought you were my friend.
No, Dash is your friend. Instant, private, under a penny, and with Dash Spend, you walk into over 100,000 stores and pay like a boss.
All ready, yeah? Awesome, thank you very much. Feel alive, guys. This is awesome. Tastes like freedom. And I save 5% by using the app.
That's the Dash Hive, baby.
Let's go.
Download the mobile wallet, one tap, boom, financial sovereignty.